Ever since Stranger Things ended, there has been a noticeable gap in the streaming landscape. For years, stories about groups of young heroes confronting spooky mysteries like Supernatural and Buffy the Vampire Slayer dominated the airwaves. Despite how popular that formula once was, however, streaming platforms have surprisingly moved away from it. There have been a few standouts like Stranger Things and Riverdale, but they're an exception to what used to be a rule. Fortunately, Netflix may finally have the answer. Netflix's upcoming live-action Scooby-Doo show, currently titled Scooby-Doo Origins, will reimagine mystery incorporated through a darker serialized story. The series will tell the tale of how Shaggy, Tanner Hagen, Daphne, Mckenna Grace, Velma, Abby Ryder Fortson, Fred, Maxwell Jenkins, and, of course, Scooby, Frank Welker, first met and became a gang of mystery-solving teens. The arrival of a live-action Scooby-Doo show is already significant because the franchise remains one of the most recognizable brands in television history. However, the series matters for another reason too. If Netflix successfully combines supernatural horror, teen drama, and mystery storytelling, Scooby-Doo Origins could fill a surprisingly empty gap in the entertainment landscape. There's a gap in the streaming market only the live-action Scooby-Doo can fill. Netflix may have finally found the perfect Stranger Things successor. The timing for Netflix's live-action Scooby-Doo TV show could not be better. Since Stranger Things ended, streaming platforms have struggled to replace the mix of supernatural horror, ensemble storytelling, and youthful adventure that once dominated TV. During the broadcast era, viewers constantly had access to shows where groups of teenagers or young adults investigated monsters, urban legends, and paranormal mysteries. They weren't just popular, they were a staple of small-screen entertainment. Supernatural alone ran for 15 seasons, while series like Buffy the Vampire Slayer helped define fantasy and horror TV for years. What makes the current situation strange is that the audience for these stories clearly still exists. For example, Wednesday became a massive success partly because it embraced mystery and supernatural storytelling, and older shows like Supernatural, Buffy, and even Riverdale are consistent streaming heavy hitters. Strangely though, there still are not many modern series fully committing to the monster mystery format. That is exactly where Scooby-Doo Origins becomes interesting. Based on everything revealed so far, the live-action Scooby-Doo TV show sounds like it will tap into the core appeal of modern shows like Stranger Things and legacy hits like Supernatural. Its arrival on Netflix won't just be significant for Scooby-Doo fans, but, if it's a hit, for the wider streaming landscape too. The live-action Scooby-Doo is taking a creative risk. Netflix's biggest change to Scooby-Doo could also become its biggest problem. Although excitement surrounding the live-action series is high, Netflix is making more changes to the Scooby-Doo formula than simply shifting away from animation. The series is abandoning the traditional procedural format entirely in favor of a serialized origin story. That creative decision immediately makes the project far riskier. For decades, the appeal of Scooby-Doo has relied on a very specific structure. Every episode introduced a creepy threat, a strange location, and eventually an unmasking. The formula was predictable, but that consistency became part of the franchise's identity. Netflix's Scooby-Doo Origins will instead be focused on one overarching narrative. Rather than the Monster of the Week format of the cartoons, the new Scooby-Doo show will have a larger serialized mystery solved across 8 episodes. That absolutely sounds intriguing, but it also risks stripping away one of the franchise's most recognizable strengths. Ironically, the streaming TV landscape is currently missing procedural supernatural shows just as much as it is missing teen mystery ensembles. A live-action Scooby-Doo series that balanced horror with standalone mysteries could have filled 2 gaps simultaneously. Viewers who miss classic episodic paranormal storytelling of the kind Supernatural is known for might have responded strongly to a modernized version of the original Scooby-Doo structure. That does not mean Netflix's live-action Scooby-Doo is doomed. Serialized mysteries remain hugely popular, especially on streaming platforms, as Stranger Things more than proved. A darker and more emotional interpretation of Mystery Incorporated could absolutely work, but abandoning the franchise's familiar rhythm is undeniably a gamble. Scooby-Doo is a beloved property precisely because audiences already know what they expect from it. Netflix now has to prove changing the formula was the right decision.